Good morning to all of you. Welcome to our monthly multi-generational service. I'm so glad to see so many of you tuned in for worship this morning. And I want to especially welcome the children who are with us today as active participants in our service. And I've noticed that there are some visitors here, so please know you are warmly welcomed. I'm actually happy. I haven't been able to be in the church building for the last few weeks because of snow, so I'm really happy to be back here. And I want to thank you, Cecile Batchelor, I can see you in your box, for this lovely new setup in the sanctuary. We are in a different format. You've probably noticed from our usual format. We use this meeting format for our multi-gens. So I'm going to ask you all, turn on your camera for a minute. Or keep it on, and you're all muted, so don't need to worry about that. And put yourself on gallery view. I'm going to do that myself right now. And let's just take a few minutes to wave to each other, or to give each other a thumbs up, or maybe pat each other on the back. And just take a second to scroll so that you can see each other's faces. I'm so happy. I'm just looking at you all, and it makes me feel so good to see you, and to be seen, right? And to be seen. Okay. And those of you who are shyer, I hope you'll turn them on in a little while, because we have some participatory parts as well. This morning is the morning of our annual meeting, and so we're going to be talking about Unitarian Universalism, the commitments we make as Unitarian Universalists with each other and our world. And I'm going to talk about what congregational polity and covenant means to us, especially here at UUCR. For those of you who are newer to us, this will be new information that you actually really need to have to be part of a UU community. And for others, I hope it will be a reminder of the beauty and the imperative of our faith and what makes us different. I'm going to light a special candle this morning. For the people of Texas, I'm sure many of you, like me, have been praying for people who are the most marginalized and vulnerable as they struggle without heat and lights and water, and the massive failure of the power grid. I've posted on Facebook a list of the vetted organizations in Texas that are offering food and shelter and water and aid to people. So that's on our Facebook page. If you're able to help, please help, and certainly let us hold people in our prayers. I'm leading worship this morning with Linda Weaver, our DRE, Cynthia Young, our music director, accompanying us Jesse Leong. Mike Schmidt is running our tech side of worship, and Beth DiPasquale, our office director, is handling many of the special tech roles this morning. Maggie Mack is our usher in today's chat. I only have one announcement. 15 minutes after the service, we're going to be doing our annual meeting. There will not be breakout rooms. So if you are a member, please plan to stay on and stay here. You don't need to go anyplace else. If you are a visitor or a friend this morning, please know you are welcome as an observer to that meeting so that you can get a sense of what congregational polity actually looks like in action. But I'm going to ask you, please do not vote. It is now time. Let me invite you into a time of silence. Take some deep breaths and enter into worship. We're going to be hearing the prelude is from the Valentine Soiree. One of our young people, Mazzy Starr, accompanied by Jesse Leong, is going to present to us A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes.
A dream is a wish your heart makes when you're fast asleep. In dreams you lose your heartaches. Whatever you wish for, you keep. Have faith in your dreams, and someday your rainbow will come smiling through.
Thank you to Massey. That was just so lovely. The opening words this morning are from the Reverend Dr. Cynthia Landrum. It was written for UU congregations at this time of social distancing. It's called Apart But Together. Spirit of life and love, we gather together in different ways this morning, from computer screens, from telephones, maybe even from your car. We gather reaching out across the wires, waving from a safe distance to come together as a religious community. From living room to dining room to kitchen to car seat, we gather as we are able, ready to be of service to each other and to the world, ready to build the community of hope and love. As we face this bright morning, we are apart, but we are together, offering our love, our commitment, our hope, and our prayers in service to one another in this world. It is a new way, but it's also an old way that we come together and worship this morning.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Young, and I am the music director at UUCR. We invite you to join us in singing our opening hymn this morning, number 1010 in your teal hymnal, We Give Thanks. And we give thanks to the lovely singers who are leading us in song, the Pitluck Schmidt family, Megan, Mike, and Vivian, Maggie Mack and Randy Newton, and Bob Anderson. The words will be in your chat box. Please sing along.
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
We give thanks for the old and young, for time of wonder, joy and fun.
For all we give as we grow and live. Oh, we give thanks for the old and young. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Thanks, everyone.
And thank you so much. Good morning. My name is Linda Weaver, and I am the Director of Religious Education at UUCR. As Reverend Debra lights the UU Rustin chalice, you may wish to light a candle in your own home. This morning, Eleanor, Brianna, and Duncan will lead us in saying the children's chalice lighting words. The four of us will say the words and do the motions twice. The second time, please join us. The words will be in the video.
We light this chalice because we are Unitarian Universalists. We have open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. Together, we care for our earth and work for friendship and peace in our world. We light this chalice because we are Unitarian Universalists. We have open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. Together, we care for our earth and work for friendship and peace in our world.
In our church, we intentionally recommit to each other every Sunday by singing our covenant together. Love is the spirit of this church. We will sing along with our new UUCR congregation and choir virtual video in this lovely arrangement composed especially for this congregation by Angela Wiswesser. The words will be in your chat box. If you are visiting us this morning for the first time, please accept this song as our blessing to you.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another in fellowship.
Now is the time for all ages, so gather around your screens. Unitarian Universalists have nothing that tell us what we have to believe. There is no creed or dogma. However, we do have principles that help guide us in living our lives in community with one another and out in the world. These are written in the bylaws of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and you can find our principles and sources on the UUA's website. This morning, I'm going to read the official words, and Elena and Nazi are joining me to read one of many of the children's versions of our UU principles. Welcome. The principles begin, we, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote. And this means we promise one another to agree to and encourage these principles. The first principle is the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And Elena, if you can unmute yourself and share the children's version.
Red, we respect all people.
Each person is a gift and is important and valuable. The second principle is justice, equity, and compassion in human relations.
Orange, offer fair and kind treatment.
The third principle is acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. And you'll need to unmute yourself again, Elena, please.
Yellow, yearn to learn.
And the fourth principle is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning.
Green, grow by exploring ideas.
We learn together in our congregations, and we continue to learn and grow throughout our lives. The fifth principle is the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large.
Blue, believe in your ideas and act on them.
During the election in November, the UUCR community worked for the democratic process to get out the vote. And in the annual meeting after the service today, members will act on their beliefs and have a say in what UUCR does. The sixth principle is the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all.
Indigo, insist on peace and justice for all.
The seventh principle is respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part.
Violet, value and care for our planet Earth.
These are the 7 principles that have been approved by the members of the UUA. There is an 8th principle, which some congregations have adopted and which UUCR members will be asked to consider in the coming year. This is a recognition that something more is needed in the principles. In the same way that the statement, all lives matter, does not really protect all people equally, respect all people and respect our interdependent web does not ensure equal respect for all. This 8th principle says, journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institutions. That is a lot of important words, and I am sure we will be talking about them more in the days and months to come. But one children's version shortens this to
work together for diversity and against racism and oppression.
This principle asks us to live the promise this congregation made when installing the rainbow flag and the Black Lives Matters banner. It also calls us to listen to people who are Black or LGBT and to treat them fairly in all we do. And to go further and consider who else may not be treated fairly or truly heard and seen, and how they might be fully accepted into the center of our beloved community. Elena and Mazzy, thank you so much for being part of the service this morning and for sharing our UU principles. May we all keep these principles in our hearts and minds as we make important decisions today and as we live our lives each and every day.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you, Alana and Mazzy. Well done, ladies. So it was lovely to have you participate. This is the time in our service when we invite you to light a real candle or a virtual candle in your home for a joy or concern in your heart and life. You're invited to share your joy or concern in the chat box. Please make sure you're writing to all attendees, not just the participants. And remember that anything you write is public. We're going to pilot a new way of doing this morning. So I'm going to ask you, after you put your, if you have a joy or concern and enter it, take the time to read what other people are putting into the chat box. And when you are done, let me invite you into your own time of meditation, reflection, and prayer. Jesse will be playing for us When You Wish Upon a Star, and we will share the photo of our lit candles in our sanctuary. Please join me in the spirit of meditation and prayer. Spirit of life and love, surround us. Help us feel centered and peaceful and open to the mystery. There are so many things weighing on our heart. We approach the terrible milestone of 500,000 Americans who have passed away from COVID-19 and the countless people who are mourning them. We reach out our hearts to the people in Texas who are struggling, perhaps without light or heat or potable water, watching as greed and bad policies have led to such disruption in their lives and fear for the climate change and the infrastructure that is failing that could affect any of us in any place in our country. We hold in our hearts those who are recovering, Holly's mother, Danielle, Vicky's uncle, Pat's sister and brother-in-law. We send prayers to those who are facing procedures this week, who are struggling with job loss, relationship issues. And yet, on this beautiful Sunday, with the snow glistening on the sun glistening on the snow and the ice, and little signs of spring coming back to us, we remember to be grateful. We are so grateful for the vaccine and the scientists and the public health people, and to the varying numbers of us who have begun to have our first shots and our second shots, and may that rollout continue so that we can come back together again. We send special prayers to the teachers among us, the teachers who are returning to the classroom this week or next week with both care and love for the children, but also anxiety about their health and what the health of their loved ones and the people they live with. We celebrate the birthdays and the anniversaries and the simple gestures of kindness and joy, and we celebrate this community gathered here in full strength today to do our work, to love one another, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another. And so may it be. Amen.
Just a few moments ago, we sang together our beloved covenant. Love is the spirit of this church. For our celebration service of UUCR's 50th anniversary last October, your choir prepared a special performance of a different arrangement of these same words, also based on that original covenant written by Unitarian minister James Villa Blake. The composer of this arrangement, Elizabeth Alexander, visited us here on Zoom during that 50th anniversary service. The words will be in your chat box if you'd like to sing along with the choir, so please join in.
Spirit of the
is consecrated by the greater good.
Yes, it's love, that's the spirit of this church. For it's love, yes, it's love, yes, it's love, for it's love, that's the spirit of this church.
Not a walls or steeple, but together echoes the midst of
That's the spirit, love is the spirit.
That's the spirit. Love is the spirit. That's the spirit. Love is the spirit.
Watching our congregation grow as beautifully as our church gardens.
That's the spirit. Love is the spirit.
Creating a loving and supportive community for all.
That's the spirit. Love is the spirit.
Flying the first pride flag in Reston, Virginia.
That's the spirit. Love is the spirit.
Providing a space for all people to be their authentic selves.
That's the spirit. Love is the spirit. Oh, it's love. Oh, it's love. Oh, it's love. That's the spirit of His church. When the walls of the steeple are together, echoes the midst of the spirit of His church. Oh, it's love. Oh, it's love. Oh, it's love. That's the spirit of His church. When the walls of the steeple are together, echoes the midst of the spirit of His. That's the spirit. Love is the spirit. That's the spirit. Love is the spirit. That's the spirit of this church.
So great. I love that. I love that video. I love that video, Cynthia. We should use it more. It's great. I also love looking at you all. So I hope you've taken the time to scroll through. It makes me very happy to see your faces. So, do you remember your first time? I mean, your first time at a Unitarian Universalist worship service, of course. I vividly remember my first service at the Unitarian Universalist Church on River Road 35 years ago. I felt almost immediately that this Unitarian Universalism was the community I had always been looking for that I didn't even know existed. I'm guessing some of you had a similar reaction your first time at a UU church. You might put your thumb up if that speaks to you. My colleague, the Reverend Dr. Cheryl Walker, wrote this about going to her first UU church. I fell in love with being an individual in a faith community. You mean I don't have to believe what I don't believe and that's okay? You're saying that I can be just who I am and I don't have to leave any part of me? You're telling me we don't all pray to the same God in the same way and at the same time? What? You don't even have to believe in God? Where have you people been? She goes on. I was like a kid in a candy store. Me. My faith, my journey, my religion. Thank you to all those people who came before me, whoever you are, for making a religion just for me. And then we learn after we've been coming to church for a while, it's really not that simple because no one person makes up a church. No one person is a board. No one person is a committee. No one person maintains the building and the ground. No one person donates the money, organizes the stewardship campaign, or the hundreds of things we do to create and sustain beloved community. So Dr. Walker in that same essay wrote a little bit later, the shadow side of supporting individuals is individualism, worship of the individual. In June 2020, the UUA Commission on Institutional Change published its latest report, Widening the Circle of Concern. The report addresses how the UUA and its congregations can promote diversity, equity, and inclusion as a central commitment to our faith. This is a picture of its cover. It critiques individualism as how we perpetuate injustice and white supremacy, and offers concrete actions for the UUA and our congregations to engage in racial justice. I'm going to suggest that the Racial Justice Committee focus on this report and its recommendations as it considers its work going forward. But today I'm going to use it to highlight what it says about community. The commission wrote, quote, "The centering of the individual de-centers the communal. One of the unintended consequences has been the atomized individualism of the search for truth and meaning without accountability to its impact in communities." It's quite a mouthful. Atomized individualism. We've talked before, you can come back to me, Mike, about we church, not I church. So people in the I church, you may remember, if you've heard me talk about this before, ask, how does the church meet my needs? What's in it for me? Do I agree with all the decisions that everyone else is making? People, in contrast, in the we church ask, is our congregation meeting its mission of nurturing spirits and helping heal the world? What serves the community best? And can I let go of what I personally might want for the good of the whole? Covenant, my friends, covenant, the covenant you've heard twice this morning, is what makes we church possible. If Jews are the people of the book and Christians the people of Christ, Unitarian Universalists are the people of the covenant. Almost 400 years ago, 30 Unitarians in a small town called Dedham, Massachusetts, created what we now call the Cambridge Platform of 1648. The Cambridge Platform declares that congregations will be governed by mutual consent, not mutual beliefs. The Cambridge Platform set the foundation for what we now call congregational polity, which means that rather than be ruled by a pope as the Catholics are, or an archbishop like the Anglicans are, or a presbytery like the Presbyterians are, and so on, that in a congregational church, a church committed to congregational polity, only the local congregation governs itself through the democratic process. And it is covenant that makes congregational polity possible. According to the UUA website, quote, "The practice of promising to walk together," can also be work together, "is the precious core of our creedless faith." The 2020 Commission on Institutional Change report says it this way, quote, "We are an expansive faith community tied together not by dogma, but by covenantal relations. We have two commitments: freedom of belief and an orientation towards inclusion, interdependence, and justice. Covenant describes how we choose and aspire to be together, how we will make decisions together, and perhaps most importantly, how we hope to treat each other." We sing that covenant each week, and I hope that you sing along with it in your home and that you feel that you are making promises in your heart to us, to each other, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, to help one another. Now, as I've told you before, it is an aspiration for how we want to be together. We don't always get it right. My minister in Westport, the Reverend Frank Hall, said, if we always got it right and we said it, we would just be bragging. It's about how we want to be. So today, our members, those of you who are members, will be voting to affirm the board's unanimous recommendation to adopt a new governance structure for our church. We've been piloting that structure for 3 years now in an attempt to clarify authority and accountability in our growing congregation. The Reverend Dan Hotchkiss, on whose model we've based our work, writes that this governance structure provides, quote, "common clarity about the difference between governance and ministry, about which buck stops where, and how leaders are held accountable to their decisions." Now, Those of you who've been here for a while remember that in our history, you relied on the board to make operational decisions and informal structures and relationships to get things done. As a church that is hovering back and forth around 250 members, that's just no longer practical. And indeed, as the Widening the Circle report warns us, quote, reliance on informal structure means that new people can't figure out how to participate. If the way to get things done is to know the right people, this perpetuates an inner circle that causes hurt and discrimination, and, quote, can undermine the mission, goals, and work of the congregation. So the decision you're going to make today about formalizing a major change in your governance structure is not a panacea, nor, let me assure you, is it a solution for all times, forever and ever. Reverend Megan Foley, our regional representative, said this to our board in October. It is just a governance structure. It is a guideline for how the leadership will run the church to make it more effective. It won't make people get along. It doesn't provide energy. It won't change the culture. Other things need to happen for that work. And then she said and reminded the leaders that most people are never going to care about your governance structure, but they care how people feel, what's energizing. The new governance structure, my friends, is going to call on you collectively to have trust in your called minister, in the interim minister who will come after me, and the called minister after that, and in the leaders you elect to your board and the leaders that are appointed to chair your committees. It will not work unless you are willing to empower the people in those positions to make decisions, even if you individually disagree with them. It will not work without trust. Indeed, it doesn't matter what kind of governance structure you have in place if there is not trust in the leaders. However, the flip side of that is that clear lines of authority will make it easier for you to hold your leadership accountable. Let me remind you, you are not voting on this structure for the rest of all time. As the Commission on Institutional Change report says, quote, policies need to be tended to, regularly reviewed and revised, and modified in consideration of an organization's goals, missions, strategy, and stakeholders. So this is the system your leaders think will work now. In future years, depending on growth, depending on changes in mission and vision, the congregation can vote to adapt it, change it, or start all over again. But it's in your hands today as the members of UUCR to decide if you will affirm the board's recommendation and the hard work of many, many people over the past 3 years. Because of congregational polity, only the members of the church can decide how they want to be governed. You're building a new way. We may have come to Unitarian Universalism from many backgrounds, and we may continue to have many different beliefs. But in joining together, we share a common purpose: to affirm the power of love in our lives. The Reverend Emma Merchant wrote this about Unitarian Universalists. Every time we attend worship, every time we donate our time and energy, every time we clasp hands is a promise: I choose you. I am here. This is a safer place, a place of learning, a place of compassion, a space created by the very idea of love. We make the choice to stay stuck together, even at the times when we don't want to be in the same room. But we always come back to the table because we choose each other. We choose to be together. Through thick and thin, we as Unitarian Universalists choose love. And in hard times, struggling times, times like we are facing every day, we come together even closer. We make the choice to listen to each other, the choice to pick each other up, and the choice to love each other. That's what we're here for, my friends, to love each other, to transform ourselves, to transform the world we live in. We know, as we heard the children sing, that deep in our bones, that's what we dream of as individuals and as beloved community. And as we will sing in a little while, we shall be known by the company we keep. And so may it be. Amen.
Our closing hymn is number 1017, Building a New Way. If your video camera is now turned off, we invite you to turn it back on. You may want to put your setting on gallery view so that you can easily see each other. We have created hand motion choreography to go along with this hymn, so we hope you will join in with us. Be aware that you may be spotlighted by our tech crew, so be ready to be on camera. Here is a quick preview of the motions, which are inspired by American Sign Language. So we're going to start with the word building, and we're going to do this with our hands, kind of angled up, and we're going to be building up in front of ourselves like this. Okay, and a new way, we're going to put our two hands together in front and move them out and away. A new way. And the word stronger looks like this. Stronger. Then you'll be singing the word working. So we're going to put our elbows out and our fists up and pound our fists together. Working. Free, we're going to cross our hands like this and then bring them out like you're flying away. Free. And for the word hate, we're going to do this with our fingers, make little circles, and then you kind of push them away like that, like you're pushing someone away from you. Hate. Feed, we put our hands near our mouth and we keep one hand near your mouth and the other hand comes out, like you're giving it to someone else. Feed. Need, your hands are going to go here over your heart. And the last one you have to learn this morning is love, which you kind of put your fist like this on your shoulders and give yourself a little squeeze. That's love. And then we start all over again with building. Okay, are we ready now? The words will be in your chat box, so please join in with me and Jessie.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, getting stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm having a problem here, so give me a second. There, hold on. I apologize. I went to full screen because I was so excited to see all of you dancing and it made me so happy. And then I couldn't figure out how to get out of it. So I'm back. That was great. I loved it, Cynthia. I hope you all enjoyed it. Our closing words this morning are from the Widening the Circle report, the June 2020 report of the UU Commission on Institutional Change. They write, our covenant calls us to hold urgent and dear Unitarian Universalist aspirations to building the beloved community with diversity, inclusion, equity, compassionate justice, and an acknowledgement of our interdependence. We have bound ourselves together in faithful discernment, not just by structure, but in our learning and living. Our common ministry must lead us forward towards transformation and liberation. We are called to travel this path together because together we are more than we can be alone. It is time now. And Beth and Mike, I think I'm going to make a change in what I wanted, what we said, which is I want to give people a chance to appreciate the service now before the offering and the break. I am feeling so moved and so happy to be a Unitarian Universalist and so happy to be with you this morning. So can we unmute everyone and can you join, put yourself on gallery for a minute, and can you join in showing your appreciation to Linda?
Hey! Thank you. Beautiful. Wonderful. Beautiful. Wonderful.
Good show.
Yay. Good job.
Great.
Our worship service is coming to a close. Before we move to the annual meeting, we ask you to make your contribution to our virtual collection plate, which will be at a link on a slide. It will be, Maggie will put it in the chat box and we will, or you can mail in your check and put collection in the memo. Please, please, please do stay on after the offering. We also invite you to use the chat box now as a virtual reception line if you'd like to give us feedback about today's service. So my friends, before we put up the offering slide, let me close this service by the words I say to you each and every week. My friends, go in peace. May our real service begin. Thank you, Jesse, as always. So we hope you will stay on for the annual meeting. It will begin at, it's going to actually begin in 17 minutes. So we all don't have to worry about what's 11:13 look like. So if you would be here ready to go, you can come up back. You can just hang around. We're going to give you, open up the mic. So if you want to say hi to each other, go on gallery view. Please don't log off. We do need a quorum. So if you are a member, please, please, please stay here for the annual meeting. So let's take a few minutes to greet each other, go get your coffee, take a stretch break, and join us back here at 11:15. Blessings to you all.